And I have a little one here, and this is just, you know, little canvas, 6x6. And we're just gonna play a little bit. And when I'm creating the base texture, I always start with, and I'm not gonna add, you know, any elements because that requires, you know, more time and more planning. You know, I have to find something and then I have to glue it on there and then I have to let it sit. And then, you know, a lot of times you really just need I start with modeling paste. This is amazing stuff. And don't be shy. You know, this stuff is designed to create whatever you want. You can do all kinds of things, and it dries very strong, very stable, and it's just beautiful. And it completely changes, you know, the face of your painting. That's where, you know, a lot of artists kind of start when you create these really kind of deep textural pieces. So I'm going to play with that a little bit. I'll wrap this back up. And as it dries a little bit, it takes a while to dry, but it does start to get a little tacky pretty quickly. And as it does, I mean, I kind of like that effect, you know, because then it starts to crack a little bit, and that's nice. And you can do anything you want. I mean, really, you know, you can make shapes, you know, you can make paths, you know, you can do a stucco effect, you know, you do a wave effect. I know that a lot of artists actually create forms using this. You know, they'll use kind of a base material, maybe fabric or tissue paper or something like that, and they'll create a form and then they'll cover it with the modeling paste to create an almost sculptural effect. And so, you know, this is, you get started with some texture, and you can use different implements too. I mean, you know, I like the palette knife, but I've been known to use a fork if I want to. You know, that'd be kind of cool. But that's not really kind of the effect I'm going. You can, you know, fork does an interesting thing. You can do this. That creates some nice peaks, some nice valleys. You know, you can do different things, all kinds of different things. But that's just an example of the kinds of things that you can do, you know, using lots of different implements, household implements. But we're going to stick with the palette knife today. So, okay, so I have my modeling paste and my recent discovery that I love. So we have a little bit, I want to clean the sides a little bit, keep that pretty uniform, because that it dries to the extent that it changes the dimensions of the frame of the canvas, so it doesn't fit into a frame properly. So you kind of want to keep the sides, you know, as clean as you can, so it doesn't stick out too much. Because it's another thing that I learned through experience is that, you know, you have a 6x6 canvas, you add too much, you're not careful about the sides, and all of a sudden, you know, you have to buy a custom frame that's 6 1/4 by 6 1/4, you know, because the paste won't allow you to fit the canvas into a standard frame. Okay, so we have that. And that's nice. I like that. It's pretty cool. But, you know, I want to add something else. This is crackle paste. And this is very interesting stuff. One thing that I've learned about this, let me see, brand and whatnot. The one thing that I've learned about this is that it crackles best when you use a lot. and you apply it nice and thick. And you're not going to see the crackle. You know, this is where experimenting really comes in, because I can put it here, and this is not what it's going to look like, you know, when it dries. This dries very differently from what you see here. So I'm just going to play with this idea. And again, this is just a texture study. I'm just playing around. I think I'm probably gonna explore the blues with this. Maybe I don't know. I'm still debating whether I want to go blue or whether I want to go red. The sunset colors are also very appealing to me. That's one of the things that I love about these color studies, is that there's really no limit, you know, to the kinds of things you can do, the kinds of ideas you can explore. So we're going to apply this nice and thick, and I'm just going to apply it all over. and we're just going to see what happens. You know, when it dries, it'll look different than this. And I think I want to make it a little heavier on the bottom. Let's try that. Let's see what happens there. And this one's going to be, I guess because it's a smaller piece, a little bit goes a long way. So this is probably going to be one of the deepest that I've done so far, just in terms of the depth of the texture. I'm going to add a little bit of movement and contrast. So it's going to crackle here and here and here, and it'll be a little smoother here and here. And we'll just play with this idea and kind of see what happens. And it's very soft right now, but and when you excuse me, when you lay it this thick, it really needs to cure for a couple of days. So it'll be a while before we can actually start playing with this one, just because it's going to take a while, especially in Louisiana, because, you know, the humidity really does play a factor in how quickly these things will dry. So we're going to do that. So anyway, this is just a crash course on creating texture using modeling paste and crackle and a palette knife, and just seeing what happens, because I'm curious by nature. I'm curious about how things will evolve. Okay, so we have our base coat that's drying, and then we have our little piece, our little gem, and we'll play with that a little bit later once it dries. And I'll see you tomorrow.